To my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch. And I'll see you in Valhalla. And I'll see you in Valhalla. And I'll see you in Valhalla.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show, and I'll see you in Valhalla. Some of you may remember the speech given by Kash Patel, the FBI director, after we caught, of course, the shooter after a 33-hour manhunt, and Newsweek was just so kind as to put that clip up, cutting out all the middle pieces, but making sure they put in that 33-hour manhunt along with his final salute to Charlie Kirk by saying, "I'll see you in Valhalla." And some of you may have heard about this already, but if you haven't, you definitely need to share this video and listen to some of the information in it. Now, I'll be giving you more information probably than you've gotten in some quick TikTok videos in regards to what they're referencing here and, of course, Goat Island. But let's just begin at the beginning with all this stuff. This was the salute given from Kash Patel to Charlie Kirk. And right before that speech, when Charlie Kirk was actually shot, some of you may not have noticed, but Alex Jones, when it was announced that Charlie Kirk had been shot, but nobody knew if he was alive or dead, this is what Alex Jones said on his show. And he said, if he does die, he's going straight to Valhalla.
Well, if he does die, he's going straight to Valhalla. That's a real warrior king's death right there. Sword in hand. Well, if he does die, he's going straight to Valhalla. That's a real warrior king's death right there. He's going straight to Valhalla.
So it's interesting that Alex Jones, who we all know as COINTELPRO, he is a part of the beast system. He is a operative of the CIA, but he pretends, of course, to be a victim. He gives you small truths, yet leads you into the left-right paradigm. It keeps you obviously trapped as a gatekeeper, which is what COINTELPRO operatives do. So Kash Patel says, see you in Valhalla. And Alex Jones says it. And Valhalla, for anyone out there that doesn't know, is a U.S. Marshals Services witness protection program. In fact, we can even listen to David Clements, who is plastered all over Fox News all of the time over the last 5 years or so, who happens to be an ex-academic professor who left his career behind to rally for Donald Trump because he believed that the 2020 election were rigged and there was voter fraud. Here he is even talking about how the term Valhalla really is, in fact, code word for the Witness Protection Program, and Valhalla is a holding place for people in the Witness Protection Program before they are actually released into a community. This is a holding place where maybe we can all assume Charlie Kirk is.
Long and short of this is that you're on his stage. You know, when you hide, we go into witness protection. There's different ways you can create an identity. It's much easier to have a shared identity. And do you allow them free somewhere, or do they go to what we call Valhalla, some holding place that's not able to be in communication with the rest of the world, but as a community, and then you can bring them out later on.
Rest now, brother. We have the watch. And I'll see you in Valhalla.
They go to what we call Valhalla.
So obviously from the get-go, I've talked about how Charlie Kirk, the character, was killed off. Charlie Kirk, the human being, is alive and well. So even if you look and you do searches on these AI algorithms that tell us all the answers, we're supposed to believe everything that they say. Well, they even say, yes, Valhalla refers to the U.S. Marshal Service Witness Protection Program. This is right from the U.S. Marshal Service directly. Now, this is where it starts to get even creepier, but it's not really creepy because we know that the government leaves their calling cards on all of these events. They put this stuff out there for us to see, and then, of course, they laugh when we all break this stuff down because they have their disinfo agents mock us, use keywords like I talked about with Pizzagate, like Hillary Clinton's trafficking kids underneath a pizza parlor in their local town, right? Making people just dismiss all of the actual evidence, all the photographs that were taken, all the creepy photographs that are posted on Instagram, where if your neighbor posted those things, you'd call the FBI and the police on them. But they wanted you to just focus on it being a theory that was something that was in regards to the left and the right. It was a Republican conspiracy. Of course, that's what they really began the alt-right movement and getting rid of conspiracy theorists. But the goat tie-in here, okay? Pay attention to this. So Vikings believe that a giant goat whose udders provide an endless supply of beer was waiting for them in Valhalla, also known as Viking heaven. Now, you might remember this photograph. This was given to us from the government. This is not a cropped photo. This was released all over CNN, MSNBC, Fox. It was released on every single controlled news media outlet. This is the picture they gave us, where a lot of us looked at it immediately and said, these don't look like natural photos. It looks like you just put them in a room and took pictures of them, and then you gave us these pictures as if these were natural photos of this character, Tyler Robinson. But notice his screen behind him, okay? You see that on his screen? It looks like he's on Google Maps somewhere. Well, if you actually look closer, you will see that on his screen is a location called Goat Island. And if you put it side by side with the image on his screen, you will see it is in fact Goat Island that is on the screen of the supposed shooter. Now let's start with the obvious here. For anybody out there that has followed me for years and years, I've constantly exposed the goat symbolism. The goat, how they've taken the term goat and they've turned it into a cool cliche, oh, the greatest of all time, right? We have goat surrounding us in our society. This is the normalization of the Baphomet. You may have noticed as well, there's a lot of people who are identifying as the opposite gender. This is the Baphomet movement that you're seeing from your friends at the occult. You see the Baphomet, the goat with breasts and a penis. This is who they all worship. Throughout pop culture, they have normalized the goat. We've seen it on the Rolling Stones album covers. We've seen it, like I said, with the greatest of all time, with Tom Brady, constantly giving us references to goat, whether it's his beer or just images posted in the mainstream media of him. They've normalized goat yoga as well. Drew Barrymore doing it on television, the Kardashians doing it, Kevin Hart doing it. Again, this obviously was a big way that they were normalizing not just yoga, but tying in yoga with goats. And yoga itself, which has become so popular in this world, it's a very popular thing. People get very defensive when I talk about yoga because they say, well, I do yoga, I stretch. What are you saying? I'm a Satanist? People don't understand opening yourself up to possession and how a lot of these things like yoga actually go back to the teachings of Aleister Crowley, 8 lectures on yoga. This is something that was pushed in satanic circles and now, of course, is a very popular mainstream thing. Wasn't so much so 50 years ago, but now everybody does some form of yoga. And speaking, of course, of Aleister Crowley, he is known as well, not just for his satanic doctrine, which includes talking about normalizing and encouraging his followers to commit human sacrifice rituals for the greatest and purest form of magic. He also has this photograph that he painted, which is called 4 Red Monks Carrying a Goat Across the Snow to Nowhere, which is depicting a ritual sacrifice, of course, of a goat. And if you didn't know, the term that we all use for our children, people call them kids. Obviously, we've all been trained to speak that way. I say it all the time, and I have to catch myself and stop myself, but the term kid is also reference to a young goat. So back to the island. Of course, the government, because this is what they do, they leave calling cards, would have an island on a screen that is Goat Island, referencing, of course, Baphomet. And now if you look up Goat Island, you'll notice that right off of Goat Island, there's actually a Danish house called Valhalla, and this is a private resort. So there's definitely some dot connecting going on here, right? Where you look at Alex Jones and Kash Patel, and they're saying Valhalla in their speeches before and after Charlie Kirk, we're told, is dead. The kid has a picture of Goat Island in New Zealand on his screen, and of course it's right next to Valhalla, and Valhalla is code word for the Witness Protection Program. Now, there's also Masonic lodges that are named Valhalla. Valhalla is a term used in chaos magic and visionary astral magic for empowerment. We know that obviously there's that game Magic the Gathering card. They have Valhalla, the Magic Gathering card, which is a spell that is used. And of course, what you're seeing right now done on the masses is nothing more than a major spell. Now, am I saying that if we all got plane tickets tonight and we all flew hand in hand, all of us, all at once, one plane, we went to New Zealand and then we went all the way up to Valhalla, that we would be able to find Charlie Kirk. Well, of course, that's not what I'm saying, because I'm sure they expect somebody to go out there and go to Valhalla. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they create a false flag and say, hey, this is how we got to this point. Some guy went to Valhalla, broke into this private community, caused chaos, shot a gun because he was looking for Charlie Kirk, because he found out online conspiracy theorists were saying that Charlie Kirk was actually alive. It could be a setup for that. We know that they're 10 steps ahead of all of us because this is their game. They're the ones who can dictate every single move. They watch how we respond, and then they have moves planned out ahead of time. It's an unfair advantage that they have, especially when they're censoring free speech and preventing people from actually waking up to who they are and what they're actually doing. But there's a lot of people who are saying that if we went to Valhalla right now that we would find Charlie Kirk. I would guarantee you that we wouldn't. However, this is a reference to the fact that Charlie Kirk is in witness protection. That's why you heard it referenced over and over. That's why he said it in his speech. Why would he say it in his speech if it's pagan? If you're telling me that Valhalla, like I mentioned earlier, the expression Valhalla and its origins to Viking heaven, how would that tie in if Charlie Kirk is this devout Christian? Wouldn't Kash Patel know better? Isn't he a part of this MAGA movement that's pro-Christianity? Well, that would be very pagan of him. It's because it's code word. It's code word. And Valhalla is code word for witness protection. And that's why the word was used. And the Goat Island photograph, that might have been used to throw people off to follow this and think that he's there, that's the location. No, but he's definitely in witness protection. There's so much evidence that shows that he's not dead, that he's actually alive. The crime scene not being a crime scene, his wife's behavior, the bullet, no splatter behind him, right? The fact that that thing would have probably blown his head off, the rifle that they claim, the coding we saw with all the 33 coding with his hats from the 33-hour manhunt. I've broken down every single thing you could possibly look at. And it should be factual at this point that Charlie Kirk is not indeed dead. But you're not going to probably find him at that house. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if you find or see some type of false flag come out of it, whether it's just somebody breaking and entering or showing up on the property, because it does have some traction, the Valhalla theory. But this is what the government does. They might have put the picture on the screen, of course, Goat Island, right? By design, because of the